through Our Lady, through our Lord, we prevail. I say that because no matter what position you're in, how much of a hard time, if you feel that maybe distant from the Lord, maybe unconfessed sin, maybe you're struggling with a situation or a sin or a person, and you feel that he's remote. Well, his mother's always there. And honoring her, not worshiping her. We don't do that, just to put that out there. We honor her like anybody would honor their mother or their grandmother. Sometimes talking to them, sometimes asking them to pray for us, sometimes saying memorial. That's exactly how we treat Theotokos Mary. But Mother Mary, some would call her that, Mother Mary, Mama Maria. But that being said, this video is about, this is a little more of my situation, but I've known other people. I was in the military with somebody that I don't know what happened, but he demobbed, very intelligent guy, but I guess there was some kind of a conflict. But we all seem to get enemies, and some of his enemies got a public voice, like some of mine did. But still, he fought a battle against the VA, and they went after his throat, really, denying medical care, ignoring his situation, his medical situation, stopping his benefits, his monetary benefits. What else? That was about it. I was trying to get him, take away his freedom, get him committed, or worse. But anyway, so that being said, he was very active politically as well. That explains a little bit of this. He's very active politically. He was actually very, very active in a former president's campaign, because he's from his hometown. So, that being said, that explains some things. But he sued the VA and won. They terminated his benefits, left him basically with nothing, no explanation. He's one of those people that went to withdraw from the ATM and, whoa, wait a minute, where's my check? There's nothing there. It hurt him a lot, caused him to be homeless, lose a lot of the services and stuff that he had, like phone service, car stuff. They just totally messed him over. Similar to what they did to me, just kind of different way. I had to drop out of grad school because of the VA, and now I'm getting sued by those debtors that the VA said, oh, yeah, use your credit lines and your credit cards. Well, we try to, we put you in this shelter, but we can't pay for it. But we'll pay you back if you pay. We just got to get things sorted out. You'll be reimbursed. We promise. We promise. And now I'm being sued by those people. I'm a victim of identity theft too, but still, if some of this would have never happened the way it did, things would just be different. We're talking about probably close to $2,000, and close to $2,000, and the same time that I'm a victim of identity theft, it's hard to sort through. I don't know my cards anymore. I don't know my credit accounts. I don't know my credit lines. So much has been hacked. So much has been, so many accounts have been cloned. At least 2 or 3 accounts. One including an independent bank. They noticed some strange behaviors. Like somebody may have cloned a card. A bank manager pointed this out to me on 2 or 3 different days. We went to a store. Right after we went through the store, there was another charge for almost exactly the same amount. One of them was within 7 minutes. Now that could have been me, but I don't generally do that. I don't usually forget stuff. I go in the store with a mental note, with list, so that it doesn't sound right. And it's like I said, it was on several different occasions. And she started looking back through my account. She's like, there's 3 that is very noticeable. But she's like, if you look at other charges, it's like, because these are all charges from Saginaw County. She's also a resident in Saginaw County. And so she's looking at this, she's like, if you notice, it's like the same store or a store in the same exact neighborhood. She's like, again and again and again. She's like, we don't investigate at the bank. She's like, you should go to the police. She's like, this could be a clone card or something. Yeah, and I've had more than one clone card. One card, somebody broke our car and threw it on the passenger side seat. After they broke the molding for the inside of the car. Not the molding, I guess you call it the interior panel. I think that's what it's called, interior passenger side door panel. They broke all of the little grommets, little plastic snaps that are there all the way around. They ripped it off. And then that clone card was thrown on the passenger seat. But it's the kind of people we're dealing with, which is why, repeatedly I get my CPL. We know the kind of people we're dealing with. Don't ask me why law enforcement are protecting them. These people are human trash. I won't say any more than that. Generally you dispatch the trash to the trash bin. But anyway, coming back to this, so back to the main topic. But so this gentleman that I know, he sued the VA. He's an attorney. He sued the VA not only for damages regarding the events that happened, but also his benefits that they took away, his back pay that he is due, and he won over, I think it was over $100,000. That's exactly what happened to me. In the beginning, I'm not a doctor. I may know a lot about medicine, but I'm not going to say that I know more than a physician. I may know more about a topic or a study or an illness than one person, but I'm not going to say that I know more about medicine than they do. I mean, it may be a pocket here, a pocket there, I know more than they do. But overall, no, I don't. But anyway, so one of my doctors was assessing my asthma and push. I don't know exactly what it was. So he called it occasional intermittent asthma. Basically meaning there's almost nothing there. And I'm like, I don't know. I have an attack every now and then. I'm like, a serious attack is, it's every now and then. Otherwise it's just wheezing stuff. So he gave me my daily meds. And that was what was in there. And then I went to see their pulmonologist twice. And both times they gave me, generally 2 or 3 PFTs. And then they created a weighted average. I never saw it because they put it in Vista Imaging. I've never seen a copy of it. It's in Vista Imaging, which is the way that they screw veterans over at this VA, because we don't have access to Vista Imaging. And if it's a departmental, particular account or whatever, then people outside that department can't get it either. It has to be requested. Maybe privacy can grab it, or release of information, ROI, maybe not. I mean, it's a hosed up system. I think I have slight sensitivity for people that work at the VA. They have so many different systems, and sometimes you can't get what you need from one system, so you got to go to another system, but you may not have access. Maybe only a supervisor does because it's a different departmental system. I mean, it is hosed up, really. And considering that 40 to 60% of the providers at the Saginaw VA also work in private healthcare. Why is it happening? That's all I can say. Why is it happening? But I mean, it can be pretty crazy. But when physicians and PAs and nurse practitioners are supposed to be loading stuff so that it can be easily grabbed by va.gov, My Health Vet, to be put on our Blue Button report. That's your comprehensive medical file since 2013, which in 2013, that's when they rolled out My Health Vet, the system, which also includes the call center. I mean, the works. Of course, in Saginaw County, though, in Oakland or Wayne County, there's 2 or 3 systems that are all called, singularly, Vet Connect. This is basically a mirror of My Health Vet, only it protects people who like to retaliate. It's a local thing that's only done here, which is why we're having so many problems in Michigan for the VAs, specifically in certain counties, a couple of counties. They're adhered to this system because they like to target veterans. Some people do, apparently. That's why they're having such hard transition time to go online with the rest of the country. And this Vet Connect will go away because we're supposed to be using My Health Connect or My Health Vet Connect. Information systems, EMR, electronic medical record, and call center. They're all intertwined. This stuff was written, in, the project was like 2012, 2013, 2014, somewhere around there. It was implemented and then rethought and the project rewritten out. And it was like 2016 or 2017 that it became fully implemented at various VAs. To the point where we are now, where most of them are supposed to be online, but at least 1 or 2 VAs in Saginaw, or not in Saginaw, Saginaw is one of them, in Michigan, 1 or 2 VAs, maybe 3, they're having a hard time transitioning. And, when you have your files that are needed, especially for VBA, in some proprietary system that's local, you're going to get screwed over. Because you're going to get, and I have experienced this as well as other veterans in Saginaw specifically, you can't get files that VBA wants. So you'll get, number 1, denied. Number 2, deferred. Which means if it was something, you got to do it all over again. So what happened with me was all of those PFTs that I had there, they created a weighted average. And, you're supposed to choose either FEV, which is full exhale volume 1. That's 1 exhale. Or FVC, which is full, full FVC, full verified capacity? No, damn, what is it? FVC? I forget what FVC stands for. Full vital capacity? I forget. But anyway, but then you do FEV1 over FVC, or you go with FVC. There's 3 options.